I actually studied economics, Rachel, and business and politics and philosophy, and I think I'm probably more qualified than you to be Chancellor. This is like a very bad episode of The Apprentice where wannabes with little experience cock up pretty straightforward tasks. Where's Claude when you need him? Rachel, you're fired.
Rachel Reeves is facing mounting backlash after being exposed for alleged dishonesty, with growing demands for her resignation. It seems Keir Starmer isn't the only Labour figure struggling with credibility. The Chancellor has been accused of spreading multiple falsehoods, and this latest revelation could be the final straw. With her controversial budget already under fire, a bigger question emerges: if she can't manage her own finances, how can she be trusted with the nation's economy? This isn't her first brush with accusations of misleading the public. Labour has a long history of broken promises and questionable tactics. But is this scandal damaging enough to end Reeves's political career? And what other secrets could still be hiding in the shadows?
Rachel Reeves says that she's not satisfied. Well, neither are we.
Am I satisfied with the numbers published today? Of course not. I want growth to be stronger, to come sooner, and also to be felt by families right across the country.
She's our Chancellor. She claimed to be an economist, but the only thing in my view she was being economical with was with the truth, and that's to put it kindly. Some might call the adjustment that she made on her credentials a correction for something that simply wasn't true.
From the very start, Rachel Reeves built her career on lofty promises she couldn't deliver. As Chancellor, critics now mockingly call her Robert Reeves, pointing to policies that have pushed Britain closer to the economic edge. Many of her decisions, hidden behind spin, have led to devastating consequences. But now, the truth is spilling out. Her most dangerous lie, the one that could cost her the job, is finally in full view. Incompetence is one thing. Deliberately misleading the country is another. Reeves hasn't just stretched the truth, she's bankrupted her credibility.
Rachel Reeves, the woman whose questionable economic policies are destroying this country and bringing misery to farmers, business owners and everyday working people, claimed on her LinkedIn profile that she was an economist at the Bank of Scotland. She, or someone, later amended it to state that she was in fact in retail banking.
Name almost any group in Britain, and chances are Reeves's broken promises have made their lives harder. But what sets her apart isn't just bad policy, it's her tendency to exaggerate her past experience. Plenty of people bend the truth on a CV, but this isn't some entry-level job. She's the Chancellor of the Exchequer, one of the most powerful positions in the country. Yet her budget has been nothing short of disastrous. The outlook for the next decade looks grim, far worse than imagined. And when the truth about her previous roles came to light, it raised the most serious question of all: should someone like this really be trusted with Britain's finances?
Retail banking is personal or customer banking to the general public, so processing payments, customer inquiries, blah, 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 you get my gist. She may have even worked over the counter in a branch near you. It's more admin than economics, and there's a big difference between the two. Political blog Guido Fawkes has claimed that Rachel was wrong to suggest that she worked at the Bank of Scotland as an economist, and in fact that she held a more mundane role in the bank's complaints team.
The answer is clear: no. Reeves, who lacks the training of a real economist, isn't qualified to handle the nation's budget. Her proposals prove it. If her role has been more clerical than economic, what does that say about the government's choice? With every new tax hike, anger among the public grows. And who can blame them? This looks less like poor management and more like dishonesty. If she were delivering results, maybe people would forgive her. But instead, she's turned the economy into a mess. It's like hiring a plumber to fly a plane. It simply doesn't work.
Which could go towards explaining why she and her front bench pals have concocted one of the worst, most counterproductive budgets, devoid of any reason or common sense, destroying any opportunity for growth with repercussions that anyone who has run a business could foresee, but not Rachel.
It's disheartening. Reeves seems completely out of her depth, with no real grasp of the task at hand. Her talk of growth and making life easier now looks like empty campaign slogans. Labour's pledges appear to have been little more than bait to win votes. Rising taxes, stubborn inflation, and a fragile economy are squeezing ordinary people harder than ever. The cost of living is soaring, and frustration is boiling over. Calls for her resignation are getting louder in this time. People may not be ignored.
I actually studied economics, Rachel, and business, and politics, and philosophy, and I think I'm probably more qualified than you to be Chancellor. This is like a very bad episode of The Apprentice where wannabes with little experience cock up pretty straightforward tasks. Where's Claude when you need him? Rachel, you're fired.
When journalists appear to understand the economy better than the Chancellor herself, you know the country is in trouble. Reeves's budget isn't just flawed, it's one of the worst in recent memory. Her habit of moving the goalposts only adds to the chaos. One week, she insists billions are required to fix the economy. The next, she claims even more is needed. This instability is forcing businesses, large and small, to take drastic measures just to survive.
A lot of people are, if we move from inheritance tax, all right, well, what about the national insurance hike? Now that has, big businesses like the bosses of Asda and other big companies are saying, look, this is going to cost us millions, and so we're going to have to reduce our intake in staff, but yet it's not being applied to public sector workers. So that doesn't make any sense in terms of growth. If you're a Chancellor and you're good at economics, you would know that that would be a counterproductive thing to do in terms of growth in the private sector.
Public sector workers are getting inflation-busting pay rises, while private companies are hit with heavier taxes. And that's not all. Labor has also managed to clash with global figures like Elon Musk. When you punish businesses for every employee they hire, the outcome is obvious: job cuts. And who suffers? Everyday British workers. Reeves claimed a £22 billion black hole existed in the budget, but even that figure is now moving. The math simply doesn't add up.
Anyway, the Chancellor of Doom, Rachel Reeves, now says she needs £40 billion.
Right. Okay.
And she's going to, and in order to raise that money, she's going to have to hammer us with even bigger taxes, especially businesses.
Right.
I mean, how long before she might as well just turn around and say 100 billion, 200 billion. Nobody's believing her anymore.
Does Reeves truly not understand finance, or does she think the public is gullible? It all started with this so-called black hole she supposedly missed, which now seems to grow by the day. Is this an excuse to justify endless tax hikes? 40 billion? 100 billion? Where does it stop? Whether she steps down or not, the damage is done. Higher taxes are coming, and wallets across Britain will pay the price.
They pulled it back from the brink. They organised this conference. They failed to invite some of the biggest players.
Elon Musk.
How about inviting Elon Musk? They didn't. I saw Lord Ashcroft was tweeting, well, don't worry, Elon, I didn't get invited either. No. So, look, they screwed up on so many levels, but the whole conference was about, hello, world, come to Britain. You know, the UK is going great. We are putting everything. We're going to stop at nothing to get growth in Britain. So that's the message on Monday or Tuesday, whenever it was.
Take Labour's big investment conference. On paper, it looked like a chance to draw global investors. In reality, it was riddled with blunders and contradictions. Did Reeves deliberately exclude major figures like Elon Musk because of Labour's ideological bias? It's no secret they distrust the wealthy, often painting them as villains. That anti-business attitude has made Britain a much harder place to invest in. Reeves may have said, Britain is open for business, but the reality speaks otherwise.
But now we're back to just everybody brace yourselves because you're going to be absolutely clobbered on tax. And it's not just normal householders that's going to be clobbered on tax, those who are trying to just make ends meet, you know, by doing an honest day's work. We're actually also going to break our manifesto pledge because we said, we the Labour Party, we said we're not going to raise national insurance. But actually, it turns out now we're in power. We didn't mean that totally. What we actually meant was we're not going to raise all aspects of national insurance, but we're just going to raise the one which is on employers.
This government talks about honesty, yet delivers deception. Reeves promised not to raise insurance tax, then did it anyway. Worse, they tried to disguise it by claiming only certain aspects were increased. This is pure Labour hypocrisy. Reeves has become its poster child.
Yeah, exactly right. The utter incoherence of saying, invest in Britain. Oh, here's our workers' rights bill, which will make it virtually impossible to run a company, you know, which will give all the power to the workers. Workers will be able to demand flexible work in 4 days a week. Sue you after one day. In other words, to completely make businesses impotent.
Who would want to invest or move to Britain under policies like these? A chancellor who can't even manage her own taxes expects us to trust her with the country's. Protecting workers' rights is good in theory, but Reeves has pushed so far that productivity suffers and the private sector buckles under the weight.
I mean, businesses all over the world, so we're not going to that socialist hellhole. And then they walk out and say, it's brilliant, we've created 32,000 jobs. No, you haven't.
I mean, the whole, that is just an absolute fiction. It's all in green twaddle anyway, isn't it? And subsidised industries and so on. It's the utter stupidity of doing those two things at the same time. You can't have it.
Either the economy is collapsing under endless black holes, or it's stable, but it can't be both. Reeves insists Britain is in crisis yet pours billions into wasteful projects. The contradictions make Labour look amateurish and out of touch.
Story, you know, our financial whiz, the woman in charge of our economy, Chancellor Rachel Reeves. She claimed £1,225 on her parliamentary expenses for an accountant, someone else, to compile and file her tax returns. 2 points about this.
Meanwhile, her reckless borrowing, massive tax hikes, and endless lies are plunging Britain into economic uncertainty. Critics now call her everything from Robert Reeves to Rachel Thieves, and the evidence speaks for itself.
Moaning, we haven't got any money, oh, it's all terrible, black holes everywhere. I mean, they're going to spend £11.6 billion on green schemes for foreign countries, and as I just said, £22 billion on Crazy Ed's mad carbon capture project. So they're moaning about, but they're wasting money on ludicrous nonsense.
It took Labour for months to deliver a budget, and the result was a disaster. Reeves may be one of the most overrated politicians of our time, surviving not on competence, but on spin. Even her chess champion claim turned out to be false. If she's willing to lie about something so small, what else has she made up?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing? I really don't know.
That's terrible.
Rachel Reeves, she doesn't know what she's doing either, I don't think, because they've left
the most over-promoted woman in the history of professional politics.
She's left so much of a vacuum in what might happen, because I don't think she knows. This isn't being clever and sitting on her cards and playing it, you know, sort of with a poker face. She doesn't know.
Right now, Reeves seems desperate for damage control. She's updating her CV, giving excuses, and piling on more debt. But no amount of rebranding can cover up the economic mess she's created.
All of these big ticket items that they have pushed through, now they've got to afford them. And I think this is why she's pushed the budget back so late. They have no idea She's trying to play around with the borrowing rules. After enshrining the OBR with all of these extra powers, now they're saying, oh, let's change the way we borrow and pay interest on what we borrow, which is fine, actually. I'm not against that. I'm like, good, let's get on with changing these things. But they are so hypocritical. They don't know what they're going to do.
When someone with such a poor record is handed so much power, disaster is almost inevitable. To cover up incompetence, Reeves leans on fabrications like her debunked chess champion story. The deeper this goes, the worse it looks for Britain.
Yeah, because this is also one thing that she's finally been put under some scrutiny, that realistically her career there wasn't exactly, you know, as illustrious as many people made it out.
Really? Tell me more, gossip time.
You know, basically, like, she was not as high up and she didn't have as much responsibility as many people kind of lent to her. And also, something about her claiming to be a chess champion has been proven to be factually
Now, even farmers are marching in the streets, furious over Labour's inheritance taxes. Businesses are shutting down or fleeing abroad. Reeves and Starmer claim to despise the wealthy, but forget how much Britain relies on them. The fallout could be devastating.
But I mean, everywhere they've looked, under every rock they've tried to find this extra money. I don't think they can.
No.
And I think this is going to be a major problem. This is why they are waiting and treading water for as long as possible. They don't know what to do after making the pledge not to increase taxes on workers.
The wealthy may escape these policies by leaving the UK, but ordinary people cannot. Reeves has been exposed for lying, and the scandal isn't disappearing anytime soon. The truth is simple: she must step down. Lying about your qualifications isn't just embarrassing, it's fraud. And Britain cannot afford a fraud at the helm of its economy.